Okay. No, that was good. That was good. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a very super short demo on coloring your objects in your house, right? So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. All right. So if for some reason you find along the way that you get stuck, again, you're going to have this video posted online. You can go and check it out. But let's say, for example, I've got my, wow, this is really out of focus, sorry. Let's say that I've got my house here. So this is my house. It's beautiful. Here's my back wall. I'm going to do a one-point perspective, right? Here's my one-point perspective house. I know, it's phenomenal. You want to come and hang out. I understand. I'm going to draw a chair right here. And, of course, if I'm drawing one-point perspective, I start with just that kind of basic Lego-style chair. I bring that back to the dot. Okay, and then I slice them off. This is all stuff that we totes already know. Cut it off. Fold it up. There's my chair. It looks super comfortable. Now we have somewhere to sit when you guys come over to hang out. Of course, we only have one chair, so someone's sitting on somebody else's lap, which is all sorts of creepy. So here's the deal, right? Let's say this is probably going to entice you even more to come over to my place. I have one light in my entire house. It hangs from the ceiling right there. It's very nice. So it's really well decorated. I've been trying my hardest to make it look presentable for you. So my light is basically going to take up that amount of space in my room. So I can obviously assume that there's a cast shadow somewhere on that side of my couch. Make sense? Right? Cool. So first things first, I need to go through and actually color my house. Just give it a base tone. So I'm going to use some blues and greens and I'm not yellow. Poop on yellow. Let's do some reds. Yeah, reds. Okay, red. Red's a fun color. Yes, exactly. So I'm going to go ahead. I want a red couch. That's what I want. And notice, I'm not too worried. Again, it's a demo. I'm not too worried about how I'm coloring here. Of course, you can always take a little bit of extra time whenever you're coloring. Maybe color each side at a time, and that way you kind of get that cross-contour look that we did, right? So there's a red couch. Looks great. It's the best red couch ever. I know. Then we do a nice green wall back here. Kind of an aquamarine wall. Whoa. Really paid the upcharge at Lowe's to get this paint mixed. Okay. Now I'm getting those scritchy scratch lines in my coloring. I'm going to give it another go in a different direction. Almost like a crosshatch. Just to kind of fill in some of those colors, right? Looking good, looking grand. Finally, of course, I paid the upgrade after that weird flood to get my funny purplish blue carpeting. It's great. So glad that I paid the upgrade for that, because otherwise, what's the point of living without a weird purpley bluish carpet? I can't think of one. Excuse me. So I don't know who my interior designer is, but they're amazing. I mean, they are really very awesome. So here's the deal. Now I'm aware you guys are not at the point where you are totally ready to start coloring yet, but when you are, this is going to come in handy. So your instant go-to, I'm sure, is, hey, there's a shadow, so I need the absolute darkest thing possible, and I'm just going to, like, Sharpie the crap out of it. Yeah! Right? Don't do that. I promise. Don't, in fact, use black at all whenever you're doing a shadow, because kind of what we talked about before, right? There's no pure black or pure white in this picture, because everything is based off of light, right? So there is no light. We start to get into that kind of pure black, but sure as heck, the shadow my couch is making is not the absence of light, right? I'll show you one better, right? So right now my hand is literally casting a shadow on my paper. You can see it, right? But as I move my hand around, you can also, if you look carefully, you can also see that the picture's still underneath here. It's very dark, of course, but you can still see there's a little bit of this couch that kind of comes up into the picture there. So what that means is this. By having that little bit of a shadow, right? Here, I'll do it again here real quick. By having a shadow, right? I know for a fact that there's still a little bit of couch in here. So instead of coloring it pure black, I'm going to color it a darker shade of the color that's already there. So there's a couple different techniques that we can do. Really, there's two big techniques that I want you to go away from this very short demo from, right? Technique number one. Literally take that color and either just take the same color that we already used and just push a little bit harder, right? Which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work. Or maybe instead I start adding a darker version of that same color. So let's see if we can find like a crimson color. Ooh. Yeah, look at this one. Like a purpley crimson, that's fun. So I can just grab a darker version of that color, let it do the work for me instead of me pushing harder. I'm just gonna say this side of the couch is in more shadow, right? Okay, so that's one level. I can push harder or find a darker color of what's already underneath, okay? So for example, my purpley floor here, right? I can just push a little bit harder. And I can get a pretty good shadow in about 3 seconds, right? I could also grab a darker color, this like navy blue, and let that do the work for me. Same basic thing, it's just kind of doing the work for me. Kind of fading it out. Remember that your shadow is always going to be darkest toward the object. And kind of do a little gradient, little fade from there. Okay? So again, that looks pretty good, but personally, and this is just my eye, personally it feels like cartoony, right? It's okay, there's a shadow there. It's not really super realistic, right? So here's where the kicker comes in. Whenever you're thinking about color, we're going to talk much more about this later on in the year. But, yeah. All right. So I've got this hanging up in the center of our room, right? It's a color wheel. That's what it is. So here's the deal. We're going to talk more about colors and this color wheel later on. But for right now, here's what you need to know. Let's see here, my wall is green, right? So we'll go over to the greens. Here we go, okay? Now, if I'm looking at the color greens, right, like I said, you can use like a darker version of your green or a different shade or value of your green here, right? So we can kind of play around. And you know that like blue has a little bit of green in it, or vice versa. I know that yellow and blue make green. So these colors over here are all kind of interrelated. We'll talk more about that later on. But if I want a color to really stand out, like I want it to push and pull a shadow, right? Instead, all I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take my color, whatever it is. In this case, I've got a green wall. I'm going to take that color. I'm going to go literally across the color wheel. What that gives me is what's known as a complementary color. They complement each other. Red is as far away on the color wheel and the color spectrum as it can be from green, right? So if I have a green wall, if I've got my green wall right here, and I add a little bit of red to it, I know it sounds kind of funky, but I promise, add a little bit of red to this, very lightly. I'm going to start off kind of light, kind of just fade out. Notice I'm really not pushing very hard at all, just a little bit. Whoa, just a little bit. What you want? Woo. Baby, I got it. Woo. What you need? Woo. You know I want it. Woo. All I mess. No, okay, all right. You like that? Thank you. Why have I, really, right? Why have I decided to be an art teacher instead of an amazing vocalist? So I've added just a little bit on there. I mean, it's the tiniest little amount. I'm even going to go back with some green and kind of really blend it in. Now look, really soft. Really soft, right? So notice, this shadow, although it looks like a shadow, right? It looks like there's like a spotlight right here and like projecting, boom, right? That's like a super shadow, right? But this, using that complementary color, it gives a nice soft little, oh, there's a little bit of light there, a little bit of shadow right there, right? But it's gentle, right? By mixing my complementary colors, what you end up with is like a little bit of kind of a brownish almost, and that's a-okay. Again, going very lightly with it. By mixing these two colors, it gives me a natural shadow, but it's still warm. You know what I mean? If I added black to it, it's going to look cold and like dull, right? So very quickly. All right, here's our color wheel again, right? All right, so let's say my favorite color is blue. It's not, it's green. Let's say it's blue, right? So what is the complementary color of blue? Orange, totes, over there, orange, right? Awesome. Yellow. Who likes yellow in the room? Anybody? Yeah? Cool. That's awesome. That's fair. Yellow. What is your opposite color? Purple, right? Perps the derps. Awesome. So we've got green, red, blue, orange, yellow, perp the derp. Cool? Make sense? So when you're stuck, when you're like, Kozak, what color do I make my rug? Or what color is the shadow on my rug? Just stop for 10 seconds. Remember, we don't have a clock in the room. But instead, look at where the clock should be, because this is sitting there waiting for you, and it will tell you the answer. It's great. Cool? Make sense? Awesome, possum? Coolio. That is that. Feel free to jump on into work. I'll come around and help you out in a second.